Sometimes all you need is a thoughtfully designed layout and just the slightest hint of sparkle to elevate a card and create something really special. For today's project, I'm keeping things clean and simple with a single layer card design, letting the products truly shine. So if you love clean designs with impactful details, you're going to love this project. Let's get started. Today, I'm so excited to share a project featuring a fun and brand new heart to heart release by Simon's Stamp. This release is filled with beautiful coordinating products that make card making both easy and inspiring. We'll start with the Locket of Love stamp and stencil combo. Now, this set features two beautiful heart shaped lockets that are large enough to be the main focal point of your project. It also includes absolutely gorgeous bows, a delicate little chain, and so many lovely details that really will elevate your design. The set comes with a great variety of sentiments that aren't just perfect for your Valentine's Day projects but work beautifully for friendships and everyday cards as well. The coordinating stencil set includes two pieces and lines up perfectly with all the images in the stamp set. Of course, you can add color using your alcohol markers or even watercolors, but these stencils make coloring and ink blending an absolute breeze. Well, I'm pretty sure this set does come with coordinating dies, which is always a big plus. But since we are creating a clean and simple single layered card design today, I'll be focusing on the stamp and stencil combo. I love how versatile this set is, and it's perfect for keeping things simple while still getting beautiful results always. Now, before we get into the process of card making, here's a quick question for you guys. Do you enjoy using coordinating products like stamps and stencils to make coloring easy, or do you prefer coloring directly onto stamped images with your alcohol markers or watercolors or even pencil colors? Do let me know in the comments below. To get started, I placed a 4 by 5 1/4 inch white cardstock panel onto my stamp wheel. Using a stamp positioning tool is really helpful here, especially if you want perfect placement or need to stamp an image more than once. I positioned one of the heart lockets from the stamp set along with the chain onto the panel first, just to play along with the layout and make sure everything fits nicely within the panel before committing to the design. This little step can save you a lot of time later. Now, I decided to stamp these images separately and then I started with a large heart locket since that's going to be the main focal point of the card. Working from the largest image first also helps keep the design balanced and gives you more flexibility when adding smaller elements later. Now for stamping, I'm using my Altenew Jet Black ink. This is a dye ink, which is a great choice when you plan to do ink blending later because it won't smear or react with the blending process. A quick tip here, make sure your cardstock is completely dry before moving on to the ink blending, just to avoid any accidental smudging. You could also stamp your images with pigment inks like VersaFine Onyx Black ink and heat emboss them to give that beautiful glossy and raised look using clear embossing powder. That's a great option if you want more texture or shine, but for today's project, I kept things very clean and simple, flat, so I decided to stick with the dye ink instead. I did stamp the image twice to get that really crisp, solid impression, and that's another reason why a stamp wheel or any kind of stamp platform is so handy. Now that we're done with the main focal point, which is the heart locket, it's time to move on and stamp the chain. Now I made sure that the end of the chain lined up perfectly with the center of the heart just to keep everything looking balanced and intentional. Taking a few extra seconds here to check the alignment really makes a big difference in the final design. Once I was happy with the placement, I went ahead and stamped the chain using the same dye ink. Keeping the ink consistent really helps everything look cohesive, and again, using a stamp positioning tool makes this step super easy and stress-free. We can now remove our panel from the ultra sticky mat. For that, I like to use a pokey tool or any fine tip tool and gently lift the panel from one corner. Then I slowly peel it away from the mat. Doing this nice and gently helps prevent the cardstock from tearing or warping, especially when you're working with lighter weight cardstock. Next, I grabbed another ultra sticky mat which I already placed on my glass mat and positioned my panel right on top of it. Then we can place our stencil directly over the heart image. I like to use little post-it notes to cover the edges of the stencil and any open areas I don't want to get ink on. This keeps everything neat and ensures that the color stays exactly where I want it to. You could also use some masking tapes if you'd like, but I like to use these little post-it notes because I feel that makes things a lot more easy and easy to peel out or even reposition. Now, for my ink blended, I decided to play with some beautiful shades of pinks. I started with carnation, then added peony, and finished with rose to create a soft, gorgeous pink ombre effect. I then blended the ink over the entire heart, including the little flowers and the leaf details you see on top of the heart. So every part of the image has that lovely soft depth. A quick tip here: when ink blending, start with the lightest color first, then build up gradually. This makes it easier to get smooth transition between the shades, and it's much more forgiving if you go a little heavy handed at first. Once I finished the heart, I cleaned my stencil and moved on to the little leaf and floral images that line up perfectly with the stamped design. I used a really dark shade of green for the leaves and beautiful vibrant orange for my flowers to really make those little details pop. Now, if you're worried about the pink from the heart blending into the floral accents, you could also use alcohol markers here instead. They give you precise control and keep colors clean and separate. I used a mini ink blending brush for this step, but just to be extra safe, I masked off all the other areas with post-it notes. This way, you can add depth and color without worrying about accidentally blending outside the lines. It's a small step, but it really makes a big difference in keeping your card looking clean and polished. The stencil actually does coordinate with the chain, but I decided to bring in some alcohol markers to add a pop of vibrant yellow to the chain. Now, since we had stamped the image with dye ink, there's no worry about smudging or smearing the black outline when we add this bright color, so it is a perfect combination. Now, my go-to alcohol markers has always been Ohuhu markers. Now, this set that I'm using here has both brush tip and a fine tip, which makes coloring details like this so much more easier and precise. Once I finished coloring the chain, I brought back the stencil and added a beautiful shade of teal to the little embellishments that you see on the chain. These small touches really help your card feel polished and gives just the right amount of visual interest to your finished project. Now that our main focal point is fully colored, it's time to add a little sparkle and shine. I placed the stencil back over the heart opening and covered the rest of the panel with post-it notes to protect it. Then I placed this entire assembly into my splatter box. I gave the locket a mist of shimmer spray. This subtle touch instantly elevates the card and adds that extra bit of magic. You might not be able to see the shimmer very well here on camera, but in person it looks absolutely stunning. It's just the right amount of sparkle without being very overwhelming. Now I will let this dry completely before adding my sentiment directly onto the sparkly heart, so we make sure it sticks perfectly and does not smudge. Once I was sure that the panel was completely dry, I brought it back onto my stamp wheel to add the sentiment. Now I chose a sentiment that says, "You hold a special place in my heart," from the same Locket of Love stamp set. I absolutely love the font on this one. It's just so elegant and pairs perfectly with the heart locket. To make the design feel cohesive, I stamped the sentiment at an angle to follow the tilt of the locket. I also stamped it twice using the same black dye ink to get a really crisp, solid impression. Stamping it twice like this is a little trick I always use when I want my sentiments to really pop and look professional. Next, I adhere the panel onto a light pink card base to match the soft pink shades in the heart locket. It really helps tie the whole design together. Now, to add a little extra sparkle and fun, I placed some sequins on either side of the locket. I originally planned to use the Joyful Moments sequin mix from Simon's Stamp, which has these beautiful iridescent pastel tones. But for this card, I wanted something a bit more vibrant, so I grabbed another set, which is the Party Sequin Mix. It's one of the older ones, and well, it's not sold anymore, but don't worry, I'll link a few of my other favorite solid pink sequin mixes in the description box below so you can get a similar look. I picked out some of the vibrant pinks from the mix and adhered them in odd numbers using liquid glue. This small trick really makes the arrangement feel balanced and visually appealing. Well, and with that, our clean and simple single layered card featuring the Locket of Love stamp and stencil combo is all finished. I love how just a few thoughtful details, a soft pink ombre, a touch of shimmer, and few sequences can elevate a simple design into something really special. I hope this project inspires you to try clean designs with subtle sparkle in your own card making. Don't forget to let me know in the comments, do you love using coordinating products like stamps and stencils, or do you prefer coloring directly onto your stamped images? I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Also, I will be sure to link all the supplies that I used for today's video down in the description box below. Please note that all of these links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I'll get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you again for watching today's video. Until next time, stay safe.